for them to clear the stage, and then Mayor, I will welcome you here. And while we wait, I just want to remind you that you can always find our program when you go to dw.com/GMF. If you already want to check out what you can be looking at or listening into tomorrow, then please find the list of speakers and also the list of sessions there on our website. Another thing I want to remind you about is that, of course, this year and every other year, we have our hashtag for the Global Media Forum. So this year it's GMF25. Very easy to remember, GMF25. So whatever you do, whether you post on TikTok, on X, on LinkedIn, please always remember to use our hashtag GMF25 and also do the speakers a favor. If you've heard anything that you believe is very quotable, then make sure that you also tag the speaker from whom that quote came. And another reminder, this evening we do have an exhibition here at the museum, so that will be right after the Freedom of Speech Award, and also we will have our dinner reception at DW headquarters. So lots to look forward to. The Director General is here, Guido Baumhauer is here, and our Mayor is here, Katja Dörner. May I welcome you to the stage. Welcome, Mayor. Hello, welcome back to the Global Media Forum. So we've been talking about AI. How do you use AI?
I have to be honest, I use it on a regular basis. I ask for information and then...
About what? We're curious. Just the weather or what?
Sometimes about
speeches?
What shall I say when I'm on stage at the Global Media Forum.
All right. That's good to know, transparency. All right, so the motto for this year's GMF is breaking barriers, building bridges. On a community level, where are you and where is Bonn building bridges?
First of all, a very warm welcome to all participants of the Global Media Forum 2025. I'm very happy that you are all around and I hope that you enjoy your time in Bonn. Yes, we are living in challenging times. Wars, crises, a lot of questions that are asked by our people and by the population also in Bonn, and therefore building bridges is becoming more and more important. And I think that cities and also Bonn can be a transboundary bridge builder because we are used to build bridges. We do it since decades. For example, between countries, between continents, but also between cultures and different religions. In Bonn, for example, we have partner cities on almost every continent, and we are working with them on a very regular basis. For example, in Cape Coast, in Ghana, we are working on environmental issues and sustainability topics together, and we learn a lot from each other. And since the war against Ukraine, we have a partner city in Kherson, which is right on the front line of the war, and we are trying to support Kherson, and therefore we also build bridges with other cities, but we also, as cities, we do have to build bridges on our own ground when it comes to difficult processes, difficult decisions that we have to make. We want to become climate neutral in 2035 as the city of Bonn, and therefore we need to transist, and therefore we have to talk to our people and communicate with the people in Bonn, and we need to build bridges because the opinions about that kind of topics are very different. So building bridges is one of our key topics and key issues, even on the...
Yeah, and one of your key tasks, of course, as mayor. So you want, of course, to build a resilient community here in Bonn. How do you take the ideas from City Hall to the people and to the streets of Bonn?
So communication is the key, like you also do with DW, communicate with the people. And I'm very happy that we have very dense networks and very good connections with different organizations in the city, so we can spread information and we can give advice to the people. But we also just invented our new climate districts, where we bring people together on the neighborhood level, where people can talk to each other, learn from each other, and shape the transition in their neighborhood. That is quite new model, and I'm very curious whether it will work well. We will learn a lot about that. But what we also do is that we are working with citizen forums on certain topics and specific issues. And we do not just invite people, we also collect names at random from our citizens registration desk. And they receive a letter by the City of Bonn, and we ask them, please come around to our forum and talk to us about whatever.
Oh, and do they come, or do they say,
yes,
I don't want to be part of this?
That's very
Where did you get my name and my address?
No, that's very interesting. Usually they do come. It's a very high show-up rate. And therefore, that kind of forums are much more representative, because people who usually don't talk about climate action or don't talk about new schools come around and bring their opinion. And I had a very heartwarming event when I was at the subway waiting for a train. A very old citizen of Bonn came and addressed me, and I said, I received your letter and I was asked to come to this or that forum, but unfortunately I couldn't come.
Oh, she told you personally. That is wonderful. Meeting the mayor on the subway is also a nice thing. All right, so the City of Bonn is, of course, very international. It's the headquarters of various international organizations. The UN has its headquarters here. UN Women just opened its office here in Bonn. You have various international conferences that are happening in the city. For example, we had Mayors of Peace who got together in May. We, of course, have the Climate Change Conference that took place in June. So how important is multilateralism in building bridges, again, at a community level?
You just mentioned 4 very important organizations and key players that we are working with or working on, and I think this includes already the answer to your question. Of course, even for, or especially for a city like Bonn, multilateralism is extremely important. The United Nations is just around the corner. We are working very closely with the United Nations, with different entities, but we are also trying to bring our expertise and our experience as cities into the international discussions. For example, when it comes to climate change topics and to the COPs, we are trying to convince the national but also the subnational level to listen more to the cities, and I think this is more relevant every time we talk to them. So multilateralism is key, I think, and at the City of Bonn we try to do our very best to foster that as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you again for being here. I understand that you have to leave pretty soon, although you are inviting us to the reception this evening, right? It is hosted by the City of Bonn and DW, but you can't be here with us this evening.
Yes, unfortunately I had to change my plans because the City Council has a sitting tonight, because we talked too much last Thursday, so we didn't run through our schedule, and now we have to meet again at 7 p.m. So unfortunately, I cannot co-host the reception, but have to leave very early. But yeah. I would like to take the chance at this stage to say thank you very much to Peter Limburg. Peter Limburg, to be precise.
We're international, so you can say Peter. You can say Peter.
Limburg. We didn't talk about the role of the media when it comes to building bridges, but I think it's just the case that Peter Limburg, he built a lot of bridges from his media perspective, and he made the Global Media Forum the Global Medium Forum that it is, and the DW to symbol of free speech. And thank you very much for that from this point. And a big applause, please, for Peter Limburg. And I also like to congratulate this year's award winner, Freedom of Speech, as a key.
Yes, following this day of inspirations, now we can celebrate the work of Tamar Kintsurashvili, and we were waiting for the award to miraculously arrive. I have the privilege today to host this celebration, and I also had the privilege in 2004 when your country was in what was called the Rose Revolution. I was actually an election observer in those January elections that led to Mikhail Saakashvili becoming the freely elected president of your country. So I had the privilege of being a part of those barriers being broken down. But our award winner this evening is the one who's been working at that bridge for more than 20 years to build up democracy and freedom of speech. And in Germany, it can easily take more than 20 years to build a bridge. We all know that. But before we get into the celebration, let's just take a moment to look at your work, what that building of bridges means.
This year's DW Freedom of Speech Award honors Tamar Kintsurashvili, journalist and defender of truth. For years, she's been on the front lines of the fight against disinformation.
You need to have credible information in order to make right choices. This is how democracy works, and information is power.
As head of the Media Development Foundation, she empowers others through fact-checking and media literacy.
Each for you, Anja Osterhaus is here. She's the director of Reporters Without Borders, also on the front line of media freedom across the globe, specifically here in Germany, and a very important voice on media freedom here in Germany. Anja, please, the stage is yours.
Good evening, everybody. It's a very special moment for me as well. Dear colleagues, dear Tamar, dear Peter, dear everybody, it is my great honor and privilege to stand before you today to celebrate an exceptional journalist, a very courageous woman whose commitment to her profession has made and continues to make a profound impact in a country where press freedom is increasingly under attack. I speak of Tamar Kintsurashvili. Tamar is a true advocate for press freedom in Georgia, a country under enormous pressure right now. The elections last October were highly contested, and the results cannot be considered legitimate. The country is divided. Citizens have taken to the streets so many times over the past months, demanding their rights, opposing restrictive legislation, and requesting to continue the path towards the European Union. The state of press freedom is deteriorating rapidly in Georgia. Dozens of reporters covering the demonstrations have been attacked while doing their jobs. And at least 28 journalists have been fined for covering pro-European protests. On Reporters Without Borders' Global Press Freedom Index, the country plummeted 26 places in just 2 years, from 77 in 23 to 103 this year. And it is getting worse. New legal provisions are being introduced that restrict press freedom more and more. Only recently, in June this year, the foreign influence law came into force. Despite all these heavy protests, authorities can now shut down media outlets, censor their reporting, or prosecute their managers. 2 opposition TV channels have already been targeted for using terms such as illegitimate regime or political prisoners. Under these conditions, working as a journalist and as a media freedom fighter is a daily struggle. Therefore, I want to congratulate Deutsche Welle. Choosing Tamar as the winner of this year's Freedom of Speech Award does not only reward an exceptional journalist, this choice also points to a country that deserves all our attention, given what's going on there. So let me say a few words about this remarkable work of the award winner. We already saw a lot about it, but I want to highlight a few important points. Tamar stands as a resolute champion of independent journalism. She defends the truth and the public's right to be informed. Her career includes a wide and impressive range of activities. As an associate professor at Ilia State University in Tbilisi, she has been teaching generations of students about media ethics and propaganda analysis, arming the next generation with the tools needed to navigate an increasingly complex information landscape. What an important job. But the impact of her work extends far beyond the classroom. She is the founder and leader of the Media Development Foundation, a pioneering organization dedicated to investigative journalism, fact-checking, and the defense of freedom of expression in Georgia. Under Tamar's guidance, MDF has become a cornerstone for credible information and media literacy. Through her foundation's efforts, Tamar also empowers young people in Georgia by offering education on media literacy, laying the groundwork for a more informed and resilient society. An additional, highly remarkable contribution is her leadership of Miss Detector, a fact-checking platform launched by the MDF in 2014. As editor-in-chief, Tamar has overseen the platform's growth from a Georgian-only resource into a multilingual tool, now providing content in 7 languages, including German and Estonian, reaching diverse audiences and institutions across the region. Miss Detector's mission is clear: to expose lies, unravel hidden agendas, and elevate media literacy. It informs both the public and policymakers about the dangers of disinformation, helping to protect society against the corrosive effects of propaganda. The Miss Detector Lab, a joint project with Deutsche Welle Academy, has reached more than 338 youngsters who have successfully completed a media literacy course. The platform's commitment to rigorous standards has earned international recognition, so it goes far beyond Georgia. Ms. Detector is now a verified signatory of the International Fact-Checking Network, part of the Poynter Institute's global initiative. And in 2023, it became one of the first signatories of the European Fact-Checking Standards Network, an endorsement of the platform's credibility and of Tamar's leadership. In addition, and I can't believe it, but there's even more to Tamar's work, she is a prolific author and researcher with numerous publications on Kremlin influence, anti-Western propaganda, and media self-regulation. So this is an enormous contribution to press freedom. And for this contribution, Tamar is paying a high price. She has been the target of smear campaigns, phone calls in the middle of the night, threatening herself and her family. And with the new legislation, she's now facing very concrete legal risks for herself and for her work and for MDF. But she does not give in. She upholds her right to press freedom and to freedom of expression despite this new foreign agent law, which brands independent journalists as enemies of the state. She refuses to give up. She persists, steadfast and courageous, because she knows that free media is essential to democracy. The work of Tamar and her team is vital in a country where Russian propaganda campaigns sow division, aimed at undermining democratic values, in a country where oligarchic control of the media market, restrictive legislation, and violent repression of journalists create an environment where independent reporting is increasingly dangerous. Yet it is precisely because of courageous figures like Tamar that hope endures. Tamar's dedication embodies the very values this award celebrates: freedom of speech, courage in the face of oppression, and an unshakable belief that journalism is more than a profession. It is a democratic duty. Tamar is not simply a reporter, author, and researcher. She's a voice for those at risk to be silenced. Today, we honor Tamar Kintsurashvili not only for her personal achievements, but for what she represents: the invincible spirit of journalism under fire. Therefore, and on behalf of all who defend press freedom around the world, and with profound respect for your tireless work, Tamar, I congratulate you wholeheartedly on receiving the Deutsche Welle Freedom of Speech Award. You give truth a face and many a voice. Congratulations.
Peter Limbaugh, Director General of Deutsche Welle, please all come on stage. Please stay here. Thank you for those inspiring words. Tamar Kintsurashvili.
Well, I'm really happy that we are here now today, and I'm very grateful for your speech, and I cannot add so much besides that. I think Tamar is absolutely the right person to get this award. And I think having visited you 1.5 years ago and your foundation, it was really impressive. I mean, it's a country which is so divided, and you were so dedicated, and also a lot of young people around you were so dedicated to do more for freedom of speech, and I was really deeply impressed. And when the DW Academy, who plays such an important role also to build bridges also to Georgia, made the proposal to us, we were very, very fast convinced to say, yeah, that's the right one. We found her, and I'm really happy. And being this is my last Freedom of Speech Award, I think this I will really miss. because it's really, really great to see so many great people who are really fighting. And I mean, we're doing a lot of, I think, for press freedom at Deutsche Welle, but we do it from far away. We're sitting in Berlin, sometimes we're traveling in dodgy places, or in Bonn. But you guys, which is not a dodgy place, by the way. No. We're sitting in Berlin and Bonn, and sometimes we travel into dodgy places. So, okay, don't worry. But seriously, you are on front line, and you are risking so much that I think it deserves another big applause for you, and we're really happy to have you here tomorrow.
Good evening, everyone. It's a very emotional moment, and I'm extremely honored and proud to be recipient of the Freedom of Speech Award 2025. This recognition comes at a critical time for my country, when Georgia wants transitional democracy, with the ambition to join European family and find secure place under Euro-Atlantic umbrella, is moving drastically towards autocracy, abandoning traditional pro-Western foreign policy and isolating itself from the Western world. This honor is not only mine, it belongs to a team of professional journalists, fact-checkers, disinformation researchers who are on the front line of hybrid warfare, and by defending media ecosystem, they are protecting information integrity and democracy, not only in Georgia, but across the region. This honor also belongs to all freedom fighters in Georgia who believe in free society and liberal democracy and have been protesting in the streets for more than 7 months since the government announced its decision to postpone EU association talks until 2028. In December 2023, Georgia proudly celebrated EU candidate status, hoping to consolidate its democracy, strengthen institutions, and benefit from the integration into European family, built on shared values. However, since then, the Georgian government has introduced at least 70 repressive legislative pieces targeting the civil society actors, media, and these legislative pieces are inconsistent with European values. This sudden U-turn in the pro-Western agenda towards a Kremlin-style autocratic legislation reminded us what was happening in neighboring Russia after adoption of similar legislation, targeting journalists, activists, and other representatives of civil society receiving funding from Western donors. And they were declared as enemy of the country and labeled as national traitors. When masked strangers dressed in black vandalized our office with posters calling us traitors and pseudo-liberal fascists, with no place in the country, the law had not even been passed in the parliament. Such targeted attacks, which we had previously seen in Russian documentaries, were not carried out against our organization alone, but other partner NGOs and journalists. Moreover, the initiation of foreign agent law suspiciously coincided with a wave of intimidation, threatening phone calls to us and our family members. Also, abusive emails with rape threats against fact-checkers after the election. None of these cases have been investigated by law enforcement bodies, which clearly demonstrates the intention behind the new legislation and further proves that institutions are not protecting us from the state-orchestrated brutalities. Georgia, once safe place for exiled journalists, is no longer a secure place for those from Russia, Belarus, and Azerbaijan who previously found refuge here. Additionally, Western investigative journalists or reporters covering the ongoing pro-democratic and pro-European protests in Georgia are being denied entry into Georgia without justification. Today, I represent a country where the leaders of the pro-Western opposition parties, one female journalist, dozens civil activists and protesters from pro-democratic, pro-European rallies are jailed. The next targets are civil society organization leaders. The Anti-Corruption Bureau launched investigation into the funding of 8 NGOs, including ours, based on Facebook posts depicting joint statement of watchdogs criticizing the repressive legislation and violence against journalists. The only crime I and my colleagues commit on a daily basis is fulfilling our watchdogging function by scrutinizing actions of government institutions, holding them accountable in order to ensure the basic principle of democracy, checks and balances. Publicly criticizing the government and receiving Western funding for research, education, resilience building, and empowering the public by informing them are considered crimes only in dictatorships and autocracies. In 1921, Georgia was occupied by Red Army, bringing an end to the short-lived Democratic Republic of Georgia that had one of the most progressive constitutions of its time, enshrining European values, human dignity, freedom, democracy, equality, rule of law, and human rights. Today, country is captured by an oligarchy with the aim to establish autocracy and abandon values of the 1921 Georgian Constitution, the values later acknowledged in the Lisbon Treaty and the EU Charter of Fundamental Rights. Only an informed and resilient society is capable of defending these shared values and the legal tradition of 1921, which we all should be proud of. I strongly believe that through our united efforts and consistent actions, we can safeguard democracy and resist the creeping authoritarianism that seeks to silence us. Thank you once again for this award and acknowledgement.
Tamar Kintsurashvili. And as you will notice, it's a very sturdy award. We hope it will help you to stand strong. It's more like a strong brick whatever comes. So it also inspires us to stand strong, whatever may be in store for us in times to come. And this is, you've witnessed the high point of what has been a very inspiring day today. I thank you very much for all being here with us for this joyous celebration to round up this day for today. It just leaves me to tell you that there's more fun to come. There's a reception at the headquarters. Our offices have been turned into a reception area this evening. It starts at 7 p.m. It's very well signposted outside. And of course, don't forget 7 a.m. Yes, they've scheduled a morning run for all of you if you would care to join us. And with that, let's talk one-on-one with each other in small groups. I really look forward to it. And thank you, Tamara, also for staying for that. Have a good evening.